This is Terry Lee Burns. Welcome to the next episode of the Lowdown. This week it's a little different. I'm not going to play anything because this is a talking song. I got the idea a long time ago from Hank Williams. He did a series of records called under the character name Luke the Drifter, and he didn't sing, he would just talk over music, and sometimes he had a little chorus he would sing, but mostly he would just talk over the music and tell stories. I sort of updated this idea, and I have three of these, and this one here, the one we're going to do today, is called The Amazement of George, and it comes from a time I was living around 2002 in Bucharest, Romania. And I was living at the very, very eastern edge of the city. And from where I lived, there was a bus line, the number 85, that ran from basically in front of my door all the way through the suburbs and into the city, through the city and to the main railway station, the Gare du Nord, and known affectionately as the Pickpockets Express. But I spent a lot of time on this bus riding into the city, mostly in the afternoons and evenings, because in the morning, when going into the city, and in the evening coming back out to the suburbs or the edge of the city where I lived, the buses were jammed. They were just so full of people you can't imagine. I mean, it's like people were so packed you would think not one more person can physically fit in this bus. And then the bus would go another couple blocks, the doors would open, nobody gets out, and 6 more people get on. So that was the reality every morning and every evening on the number 85 in Bucharest, Romania. Well, I always liked stories that mixed magic with realism, like those South American writers, 100 Years of Solitude, Marquez and those guys. So I kind of got the idea of telling a story about something that could happen if magic was real. And that's what this is about. This story here on this song starts out with the premise that the bus is coming home in the evening, and George, a healthy young man, gets on the bus at the same time as a small, frail old lady, and he just does a small act of kindness and makes her ride a little more comfortable. And the story ensues from there. I'm not going to give too much away because there's going to be a button and you get to click on it, and you can hear how the story develops, what happens when magic enters George's life one afternoon in Bucharest, Romania. That's what it's about. Now, regarding the recording of it, what I did was I recorded this on my old 8-track digital, and I had the rhythm sections. I played bass and guitar, and I programmed the drums on it. There's nothing very much to it. It's just something to keep it flowing, really. And then I laid in wait for guitar players, and when they came over, I would sort of gently steer them towards the guitars and have them jam on top of these tracks. Now, the track was about 9 minutes long because I didn't know how long the story was going to be. So I thought I'd give myself ample time, and I could always shave it, cut out the ending and just use what I needed. Turns out that I used everything because the guitar player came up with cool stuff, so I kind of let the guitar run on another minute or so past the actual story in this case. And so one day, a friend of mine named Mike, or as we know him, Crazy Mike, Crazy Aussie Mike, and he came over and was hanging out, and I had him put down a track, just jam on top of this track. He didn't hear the story, just basically put some solos and fills and stuff over the tracks. No instructions. And once he did, it's a 9-minute track, 8 minutes 30 seconds, I think, something like that. But it's a 9-minute track almost. So he would play the 9 minutes, and we'd pause, and then I'd turn down the track he just did, so he had no reference other than the original rhythm section. And I'd have him do it again on the idea that he would probably stay in the same ballpark of what he did earlier, and we'd have some interesting variations. So I didn't want to let him hear what he did earlier so he could harmonize with it. I wanted that random aspect. And I got it, and it turned out actually a pretty good idea. I've tried this idea before without so much success, but in this case it worked pretty well. And the mix on it was I was able to, one of the tracks was a lot more tentative and the other one was more confident, probably a second. So I sort of mixed them in as the song progressed and the story progressed, to try and build some sort of, musical momentum underneath the words. And that's how this song came about. So the story is called The Amazement of George, and it comes from the Oblivious CD, as does quite a few of the songs I've been doing here. And but it's a story song. It's meant to just sort of kick back and find out what happens to George that fateful day in Bucharest when he got off the bus. And what happened after that is, all you got to do is push this button, which I hope I'm pointing at, but if I'm not, it will be there soon, and you can hear the story. In the meantime, thanks for stopping by to the Lowdown, and next week we'll have something with more guitar playing, more live guitar playing, but I wanted y'all to hear this story. Hope you enjoy it. If you like it, subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks a lot.